100 years ago, approximately, when the British Raj was still ruling over India, they were greatly oppressing the Muslims there. As to be expected, because the Muslims are the only ones who are really showing any resistance to the colonizers. So some of the Muslims got together, and in particular they had some scholars leading, some ulama. So from the ulama there was Shaykh al-Hind, Mahmud al-Hasan rahimahullah, who gathered a number of his students and a number of other scholars, and they said, we have to rebel against these oppressors, these colonizers. We have to overthrow them so that people can live in peace and they can live freely, especially the believers. So he said that, we can't do it here, we don't have any support, let's go to the Muslim lands to garner support for our movement. So they get together and they travel all the way, this is the year 1916 or so, 1915, they travel to Makkah al-Mukarramah. It's to be expected, right? You're going to go to basically the holiest place on earth, and hopefully you will find Muslims that are sympathetic to your cause. They get there and they begin discussing with the Muslims who are coming for Umrah and for Hajj. Very quickly word reaches the governor or the ruler of Makkah at the time, the Sharif of Makkah. Now, what do you expect he did? This man, the very first thing he does is he gets in contact with the British Raj. He says, here are a bunch of Muslims from your part of the world plotting and planning against you. Hurry up and grab them while you can. So he turns in a group of scholars, Muslims, to the British Raj. This is the Sharif of Makkah, the ruler of Makkah, turns them into the British Raj. They're taken by the British and they are jailed, they're imprisoned in the island of Malta. And that is where Shaykh al-Hind rahimahullah spends 4 years of his life. And these are the very final 4 years of his life. He's released in the year 1920. And then he goes back to Hind, goes back to India, and he spends the next few months, these are the last few months of his life, he spends them touring and lecturing the people there, explaining his story, and he knows that he's on his way out. And he talks about his experiences, and he says that, one day he's addressing people, and everyone's quiet, and he begins to talk. And he says, rahimahullah, that in my time in isolation, I contemplated on the situation of Muslims. Why is the Ummah in the state that it is? Why has it fallen from its great heights to these deplorable lows? What happened? And he said, I came to a conclusion that there are two main reasons, two causes for the decline of the Muslim Ummah today. And he says, number one, it is division amongst the Ummah. Number two, it is their abandonment of the Quran, leaving the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Shaykh Mufti Shafi al-Uthmani rahimahullah, who was in that generation slightly older, just like a little bit after him, rahimahullah, he comments on this statement by Shaykh al-Hind. And he says that I thought about what Shaykh al-Hind said, and I studied, and I've come to the conclusion that what he said was absolutely correct. That the weakness of the Ummah is because of their division. And the division of the Ummah is because of their abandoning the Quran. So what happens? The effect is down here, right? This is the effect, that the Muslim Ummah is weak. What caused it? The Muslim Ummah is divided, that's the cause. But what made them divided? That the Ummah itself has abandoned the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.